Meanwhile, CBS this morning coming up at 7 o'clock, where they'll have Election Day coverage from battleground states all across the country. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe joining us now live this morning from Times Square in New York. Good morning to you, Ed.
Good morning, guys. How are you? Happy Election Day.
Happy Election Day to you. You have spent a lot of time crisscrossing the country and also right here in Pennsylvania, which of course expected to be key in this election. How do you see this race playing out here in the Keystone State?
Oh, it's all about the Keystone State at this point. You saw Joe Biden and Kamala Harris spend most of yesterday in the western part of the state. Campaign last night with Lady Gaga, the former vice president did. John Legend and Kamala Harris there last night in Philadelphia. And the former vice president's making stops in the Philly region today, emphasizing yet again, showing us yet again that he believes the Keystone State is the cornerstone of his path to 270 electoral votes. Of course, this is a guy who has a long history with Pennsylvania, born in Scranton, lives right next door, so he knows the state well, and he's desperately seeking to win it tonight. But the president, of course, keeping a close eye on it as well, knowing that if he can win the state, he may be able to win the White House yet again.
Yeah, both certainly investing a lot of time here in Pennsylvania. What are you expecting turnout to look like at the polls today, given that so many people have voted early? And what will you be watching tonight as the polls close and we see these numbers start to trickle in?
I don't say this because I'm talking to you good people in the Philadelphia region, but we have our eyes on Pennsylvania for sure and how quickly the Keystone State can count its votes. It is one of the states we expect to go a little slower this year, given the crush of absentee ballots or mailed-in ballots. About 3 million so far that were requested before Election Day. Some estimates suggest another 3 million people could show up to vote today in Pennsylvania, so that's obviously one big place to watch. With 93 million plus votes cast across the country, record set in several states, we still expect that number to climb today considerably, and we are on pace to surpass record turnout that we haven't seen in more than 100 years, at least on a percentage basis.
And what do you expect to hear from President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden in these final hours? What can they say to perhaps sway voters as they go to cast their ballots today?
If you're the president, you've had your eyes only on the issue of the economy, rebuilding the economy, reopening the economy, and trying to get past the coronavirus. Vice President Biden turns around and says, no, we have to sort out this coronavirus mess first before we move on to rebuilding the economy. If at the end of tonight we're seeing exit polling that suggests more voters were concerned about coronavirus, that likely favors Biden. If overall more Americans say they were concerned about the economy when they were casting their votes, that's good news for the president. But that's a good way of looking at how this conversation has gone between the two candidates over the last several weeks.
All right, we'll be watching closely to see how it all plays out tonight. We'll be watching your coverage from New York. Ed, thank you so much. Exciting night ahead of us. All right, and Ed O'Keefe will have much more on CBS This Morning starting at 7 o'clock. And as I mentioned, he'll be part of the CBS News election coverage starting later this evening at 7 p.m. You can also look for live local updates beginning that hour. The live election results will be on real time at cbsphilly.com as well as the CBS Philly app.